everyone, welcome back to Sheepworks Podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Wright, and today I have a special podcast episode. This is how we can help Christopher Bennett. I have a friend of his on named Billy. She's going to speak about his case and how we can help him. Hi, Billy.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being a guest today.
No problem.
So I wanted to speak a little bit about Christopher Bennett's case and how we could help him, like how my listeners and myself could help him get out, because his case was very unique and the amount of years he was given was not right. It wasn't fair at all. So can you tell my listeners a little bit about the case?
Okay. So this all happened in 2003. So at this point, Chris has been in there for 20 years. So I'll have to even go farther back than that. So the man that he killed is Vince McDorman, and that was his stepfather and the father to three of his little sisters. During that time that he lived with Vince, even as a kid, he had endured childhood sexual abuse along with physical abuse. And at this time, when this happened, he was no longer in the household. His mom was trying to get custody of the three girls. She had found child pornography on Vince's computer. And so she tried to get custody, but when she left Vince, they didn't have anything. He worked for the transportation in the city and a couple other things. I think he worked for a rehabilitation center, and I'm trying to think of the third place he worked, but he had connections in that city. So CPS had been called even when Chris was little. They had called on the girls. A bus driver had called CPS on watching him inappropriately touch the girls in between their legs. Nothing was ever done by CPS. Their follow-ups did not include any questions to the girls of anything that had happened to them. The only thing that they did was talk to Vince. So at this time frame, the mom was trying to get custody of the girls, and Vince had came up to Chris and said that if you lie for me in court, I will give you a check for like $750. I think that was the amount. Well, Chris's mind, he wasn't actually going to lie for Vince. And before that, he could even accept that check. Vince had decided he wasn't going to do that. Well, Chris had seen that he had already made that out to him. And in Chris's mind, he was going to, if he could get a hold of that check, he could prove to the judge that he was being bribed to lie. So he got one of his buddies to drive him out there at night to go get that check. And he broke into the house, and when he broke in, he was actually about ready to leave because he couldn't find the check at first, and that's when he had heard his little sister from the bedroom I can't remember if it was Vince's room. I think it was, if I remember right, had heard her telling him to leave her alone. And that's when Chris had seen that he was molesting his little sister, which then brought back memories of him being molested. And even farther back from that, there was a woman that Vince was married to before Chris's mom, and that boy was taken away for physical and sexual abuse that Chris had done to him, but was never charged with. So that kid spent the rest of his time from the age of 12 for the rest of his, till 18 in foster care. And I do have statements from him as well. But so Chris did witness his sister being sexually assaulted, and he did at that time, because I think Chris, he was just a couple months after 18, and probably like 120 pounds soaking wet. And Vince was probably like 350, big dude, you know. He had brought a gun with him, and had one bullet, and he shot Vince in the head. And after that had occurred, Chris had suffered a seizure, because he had history of seizures anyway in the past. But I think it was the trauma of everything. So he had suffered a seizure right after that. And then when he came to, I think he was just so scared and he didn't know what to do, because it's not like he had expected to actually shoot him, you know. So after that had occurred, he freaked out, turned his pockets inside out, kind of made it look like a robbery. Well, he did take his check, because then he was like, well, what the hell am I going to do? I gotta flee, you know.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of here. He said, now looking back, the one thing that he does wish that he could have changed was he just wished that he would have just not panicked and stayed there, but he panicked. And so the thing that bothers me, there's multiple things that bother me about this case, and one of them is the fact that he did not go to trial. This was a plea deal given by the prosecution, and but they're telling this to like an 18-year-old boy, so obviously he doesn't know any better. He's scared. His defender is a public defender, you know. I mean, this was a capital murder, because they considered this capital murder because he had broke into the house. And so Chris had stated this is what happened. The sisters had even now they'll tell you that that's exactly what had happened, and they had been molested every night for years. And none of that was taken into account, that this was a defense of another human being that had occurred. Yes, I do know that he did break into Vince's house, but I do not believe that he would have killed Vince had that situation not have taken place.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was lied to by, them just trying to use that fear against him, because they had even told him, that if you don't take this plea deal, that you will most likely get the death penalty, and told him that his mom would have to bury another son, because he did have a younger brother at the time that had died.
Yeah.
So that's kind of. So I think it's wrong that they never let the girls speak out on behalf of their brother for the trial, and give them a voice of their own. And I still feel like it's just being. I feel like they've had no voice.
Yeah, he really didn't get a fair trial.
And there wasn't even a trial; it was just a plea deal. Yeah.
Oh wow.
1,800 years. Yeah.
That's not fair.
He never saw a jury. So, and they had tried to tell him that if he were to go to trial, he would get the death penalty, which I truly believe is nonsense.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, that ain't right. What state is this in again?
This is in Virginia, and that judge was very well known for giving people extremely insane sentences. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what can my listeners do to help Christopher Bennett? I've seen the what do you call it, where you donate and when you protest
so the petition is a really good way to help support. But I would say, because all of that, once it gets to certain amounts, the higher amount of people that we can have, it does send that information to the Virginia governor and the parole board. So in next year, actually, he will be up for, because every 3 years you can come up for a pardon. And that means that the only person that could pardon Chris, because there is no parole for his crime, right? There's no parole. So the pardon would be the only way for them to let Chris out, and the pardon would be for next year, and that comes across the parole board, and then it goes to the governor, and the governor is the one that ultimately has to sign off on that to release them and say this is extreme circumstances, which I truly believe this is. And the more people that can call and send letters to the governor on Chris's behalf on letting him get a pardon, the better chance he has, the more pressure is going to be applied to the governor to do so.
Yeah, I saw that on the page that you had. I wanted to show my listeners. It is, I'm going to show it on here.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had it up. This is one of the things I had up. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I had this up. And then I went to, I'm trying to find where you posted so that we can send messages to the governor. I don't know where it was. It was on here, but I don't think I can find it now. Let me see if I can go on our Facebook, on the page on Facebook and see. Because let's see. Okay. Because I remember when I think somebody posted it on here. Let me look. Was it you that posted where you could?
I do believe I did post a link to where people could email the governor.
Okay, I think this one's the information too, right here that I highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it? Or
yeah, I can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna not highlight it because it shows up funny. But there was, oh, here it was. No, that's not it. Trying to find it real quick. There's a lot of people on here. Okay, here it is. That's where they can call to like leave messages, and that's where they can mail the letters.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna leave that up for a minute so they can see it, and then I'm gonna continue to talk to you while it's up.
Okay, sounds good.
So, with us doing that, how does it help him? Like, will the governor even see these letters, or?
Well, that is, I think the main way to do it is continually, and with the larger amount of these same kind of phone calls, of these same kind of letters, they're more likely to draw the attention and say, hey, maybe this is something that we need to look into.
Right. I'm gonna try to see if I can get like some of my mainstream friends involved and see if they can get it more well known. Because when I first heard his story, I cried. Like, I was like, how could they give him that many years?
Right.
Like, that's a lot of years. And wow. So can we talk to him ever? Like, can we video chat with him, or is it just you and certain people?
Well, you can set up video visits. You can't call the prison directly. He would have to call you. But you can always like write him through JPay. And that's a good way to get in contact with him, or, tell him that you're supporting him. You can always send money on there if you want to, to help them with like commissary, buying necessities or things like that. If somebody feels like they would like to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, because that's crazy. His story is it's sad, really.
It,
And I feel like he's a hero for helping his sisters, especially his sisters. So has his sisters ever spoken up about it, like went
yeah.
on podcasts and
They
the
have.
news and stuff?
It's a little, they've been to the rallies. They've spoken up. They was on Dr. Phil. The sisters were on Dr. Phil, uh, speaking up on his behalf. And yeah, I feel like when, and the hard thing is because he has gotten this extreme sentence, when this does come before a pardon board or whatever, most of the time they're not seeing all the detailed information, or the whole story. All they do is see a charge, you
Yeah,
know. He does have a lawyer right now, and we're all, well, it's just like a group of people, supporters or whatever, but everybody's trying their best to get information out there, and things to help her. What One of the guys that was previously sexually abused by Vince had wrote and actually had a long conversation with a lawyer on the abuse that he had endured. The sisters have wrote letters to this lawyer, so those will be passed off to um, the parole board, which is the ones that then can send that to the governor for the possibility of a pardon. Um, there's just so much behind this. I don't feel like the sentencing was right for the case. Should he have seen jail time? Okay, maybe he should have. Maybe he should have went for a couple years. I mean, I would say manslaughter at the most. I cannot imagine him spending over 20 years in prison for stopping abuse from happening.
yeah.
And
I mean, Vince is a pedophile. Like,
right, and in my opinion, had CPS done their job previously, it would have never came to this.
I
Yeah,
agree. I agree. A
they
thousand.
failed. Yeah.
Oh, you said they felt what?
Oh, I said they failed. They failed the family.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. And I
Yes.
feel like that's in a lot of cases, a lot of child abuse cases, because I've interviewed child abuse survivors. And a lot of CPS turn the other cheek and they keep sending the child back to their abusers. So
Right.
yeah, it's messed up. I hope that my listeners help Christopher and continue to send letters to them. I hope he gets 1,000 letters a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Is there anything else you want to say on Chris's behalf or anything before I let you go?
Um, he appreciates everybody's support, and it is a big deal to keep that continued support, because I think he feels like a lot of times people kind of forget about that case and just kind of forget about him. It comes in the news, it gets big attention for a while, and then it just kind of fades off, and people, you know, have kind of like that short-term memory on
Yeah.
situations like that. And then but no, I kind of want to get everybody pumped up, because I want everybody pumped up before August of next year, when his pardon takes place. The possibility for his pardon is upcoming. I've got a couple other things that I'm trying to put together in the works to get more attention out there, and one is going to be a rally,
Yeah.
right, maybe like a month or two before, or right to the upcoming of that pardon, so it's fresh in people's minds, and as many people as can go, the better, of attention that we can get drawn to getting Chris out. But I know he would say thank you everybody and for the love and support, and
Yeah.
that's what he would
And
say.
where's this rally going to take place? I don't think I'm close to Virginia.
No, and I'm about 1,000 miles away, but I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be at Richmond, Virginia. Yeah.
Okay, I think I live close to there. I don't know. I'm in Indiana. Like, I have to actually look at the map to see how close I am. But
So
yeah, I think.
it is going to be about a year away, so it'll give people time to plan. Maybe a little trip. They could even make sure do their own little family trip at the same time, and everybody come to the rally, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I want to thank you so much for coming on my podcast and speaking about how we can help Christopher Bennett in this case.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing this case with everybody. We appreciate it.
You have a great day.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, I want to speak a little bit about Christopher's case. So that was Billy, and she's right here, as you can see. She's right there. And she posts, you can join this page. It's called Free Christopher Bennett, and it has 36,000 members on there. And he was sentenced to prison, as she said, 1,800 years. And he saved his sisters from a child molester, a pedophile, a pervert. So this is the man right here, Christopher Bennett, and he's been in court. I mean, not court. He's been in prison for 20 years now, and he's innocent. He's an innocent man. The most he should get in trouble for is, like she said, manslaughter and breaking and entering, which he could get that for time served and be out. But there's bracelets that they have, Free Christopher Bennett and Save Our Hero. So yeah, this is just the site you can join. And there's these right here. I have those, but those are older events. So hopefully they have events coming up soon. And again, you can call the office of the governor. There's the phone number. And you can mail. And there's the email. I mean, not email, but the address. And yeah, I hope you all check this out and help Christopher in any way you can, because he's an innocent man. There's another flyer. You read that. And there's the number. I hope we really can help this man, because he's an innocent man. So I hope y'all have a great day. Thank you all so much for listening to my podcast, and continue to share, and comment, and help Christopher in any way you can. Have a great day. Bye.